You said that, we've been a bit of a soft touch. Why is that? Why have we been a soft touch? Because I think many people will probably agree. I think the vast majority of Brits would agree with you that, this has been a problem that's sort of bubbling underneath the surface. But it's only in the last, I would say, maybe the last few years where we've really started to have more conversations about this. So why is it we've been a soft touch on this issue?
Well, I think that there's one place in the world that really, looks at matters of discrimination and prejudice. I think it's actually the UK. I think that when it comes to its credentials on matters of anti-racism, protections and freedoms for religious minorities, I think the UK ranks very highly on the international level. But I think in some ways that's been by certain elements of the British Muslim population. I have to say, I think a real problem here is our model of multiculturalism, which tends to provide more vocal, assertive, and I'd even say intimidating elements of minorities a place on the table. And I think that's a real problem because that provides the impression that these so-called community leaders, these community representatives, that they reflect the true sentiments within those communities. And I think that's a real problem for itself because then the wider population looks at that, they think, well, I think that we have a very serious problem here if they feel that the entire community feels that way. And I've often made the point that there are problems within British Muslim communities, but we also have to understand that there's an ideological diversity there. There is a diversity of opinion within British Muslim communities as well. And that's lost because of our model of multiculturalism that we have.
Yeah, I certainly agree, and I think when we look at the sort of the way we tackle this issue now, because we've just got our first Pakistani Muslim Home Secretary, right? And not that I think anyone's background really matters. I want to see what they do in the job. She's seen as a little bit of a right-winger when it comes to at least her views on social issues. Do you think that because she's from this ethnic background, Shabana Mahmood, do you think because she's from this ethnic background, she's going to be able to tackle this issue better? Because there's a lot of people speculating online thinking, I think they maybe have gone a little bit far, saying that she won't do a good job of this because she's got loyalties that lie with Islam rather than actually being the woman to be able to tackle it. Do you think actually because she's in that position, she'll be able to do a better job? Or do you fear that actually, like some people do online, that she's going to make it worse and just brush it under the carpet?
Well, firstly, Alex, I'll make the point that we did also have Sajid Javid, previously a Home Secretary as well, and he's also of Pakistani Muslim origin. What we would be correct in saying is that she's the first female of Pakistani Muslim origin who's in the position of Home Secretary. Now, if you actually look at the Labour Party, I'd actually say Shabana Mahmood is to the right compared to many of her Labour colleagues, especially on matters of immigration. She was quite supportive of Sir Keir Starmer's Island of Strangers speech. Even Sir Keir Starmer wasn't supportive of his own speech at the end. She also clamped down very heavily on the Sentencing Council when they tried to usher in this two-tier governance within our judicial system. And I think she realises that she's under additional pressure because of her background, especially when we're talking about this national statutory inquiry into grooming gangs. But to my understanding, she hasn't been squeamish and she hasn't ignored the very real problem, especially when it comes to treatment of women and girls within especially segregated sections of British Muslim communities. So I think some people may be pleasantly surprised by what this current Home Secretary, this new Home Secretary, what she may bring to the table.
Yeah. Give me a one-word answer, Dr. Rakib. Civil war happening, yes or no?
No.
Great stuff. Dr. Rakib Ehsan, thank you so much for joining me as ever.